Hi, welcome back, you beautiful souls, to a brand new What If series that I will occasionally be doing. Maybe one episode every 2 weeks or so. But if this What If gets a lot of traction and a lot of you like it, I will continue this. This What If is titled What If Shota Aizawa was was Izuku Midoriya's biological father? Basically, Aizawa being Deku's dad. So, in this one, Izuku will take his mother's maiden name, in which he's like Inko keeps her maiden name because of Aizawa being a pro hero, but it would be hyphenated. Like it would he would be Aizawa Midoriya Izuku. So on paperwork, he would sign Midoriya Izuku, but like his whole name would be Aizawa Midoriya Izuku. Another change I'm going to do in this, in canon right now, Inko is 42. I'm going to be nice to her and bring her age down by 6 years to 42. And Aizawa is currently 31, and I'm going to age both him and present Mike up by 5 years. And the reason why Aizawa hadn't really been doing hero work, which attributes to that much hero work, which attributes him being less popular than in canon, is children. Just plain and simple, a child. He kind of takes more time with this family than hero work until one day, which I will get into that. So as it stands, Hasashi, like Inko, is younger than what Hasashi would be by a good margin, so she would never have met Hasashi at all. And Aizawa is 5 years older, and Inko is 6 years older, and present Mike is 5 years older as well. Because I wanted to keep the friendship that Aizawa, Mike, and the other guy from Vigilantes, he will also be aged up accordingly. The three best friends attending UA, like all of their past still happens, but it happens earlier chronologically as far as MHA is considered. So that being said, let's get into our story. One night, like you can just hear a lot, like someone's just absolutely beating the piss snot out of like someone, and we come across a young man fighting several villains. The villains are taken out except for one, unbeknownst to the young hero. And the young hero hears a woman scream, "No!" as he turns around and sees a metal spike inches from his face. And then it immediately shoots back and it comes towards the woman, hitting her in the chin and kind of knocking her to like the ground. Just because Aizawa pretty much stopped it from like actually hitting her, but the force carried his scarf and it kind of hit Inko on the chin. And so he's grabbing the spike with the scarf while he's throwing it down to the ground. He's also taking care of the last villain, the one who threw the spike at him with his quirk. The young hero walks up. "Thanks for that, ma'am. Your quirk was helpful." And then the young woman is like, "I'm sorry, my quirk went haywire. Also, I know the law, but I could not watch them kill you, you know?" And the young man kind of grimly, like just a weird smile comes across his face, and he's like, "Oh, let it go, young lady. just this once, but you should be more careful. As and then they introduce themselves, and the young woman says, "My name's Midoriya Inko, and you're the Eraser hero, Eraserhead." And you just see Shota Aizawa just kind of roll his eyes, and it's like, in the back of his mind, he's like, "I knew I shouldn't have given that name, but dang it, Mike." In any case, he introduces himself properly, and they begin to talk. And Aizawa's like, "You have an interesting quirk. You could have become a hero." And Inko's like, "Yeah, no, I couldn't have become a hero with such a weak quirk. Your quirk's amazing. You're able to actually stop people, but what makes you so amazing of a hero is that you use your own physical attributes to actually bring villains down." As she's looking around at the several villains with black eyes and like a few like busted lips and like just sitting in cuffs and everything while they're waiting on the police to get there. And EMTs, because Aizawa wants to make sure like this young woman is okay, and if need be, like fill out the proper paperwork for civilian injuries and stuff like that. Because I would say these two are at the age of 18, so Aizawa's in his last year at UA, so he's pretty much a hero, and it's towards the end of his last year. Unbeknownst to our hero, the two, like this, will change the events of My Hero Academia in a drastic way. So a couple of months have passed, and Aizawa's kind of is sitting at the cafeteria table with Mike and I forget what the other guy's name is. And Mike's like, "Shota, you seem a little preoccupied." And Aizawa's like says, "Oh, sorry, I was just thinking about this woman." And Mike's eyes just go like, "What, you have a girlfriend now?" And Shota's like, "It's not that. She was cute and everything, but I don't know." So a few days after that, he's walking around kind of patrolling, and he sees a familiar hairstyle, and he walks into the coffee shop, and the lady turns around, and she's like, "Oh, it's you." And Aizawa's like, "So you work here?" And she's like, "Yeah, my quirk's actually pretty useful in a coffee shop, you know." As she's like picking up like a spoon with her quirk, and then picking up a cup and stirring in like ingredients and stuff. And as I was like, "Oh, that's a practical way to use your quirk." And this starts a weird friendship. Like, the two clearly like each other, but they're scared to say so. And this proceeds for like about, I would say, another year, like another couple months before Inko finally has enough of it. And because Aizawa has been coming in pretty much every other day to get coffee in the evening before he goes on patrol. And she just flat out asked him one day, it's like, "Mr. Eraserhead, why do you keep coming here for coffee? Wouldn't it be better to get coffee in the areas that you're patrolling?" And Aizawa kind of blushes at this a little bit. And this is when Mike like comes in, and he's like, "Oh, I see why you're coming here for the coffee now." And this is when Aizawa uses a scarf and basically like shuts present Mike up. And then the friend walks in, and he's like, "Aizawa, you coming? No time to be talking to your girlfriend." And this is when Inko like kind of blushes a little bit, and Aizawa's like, I'm sorry about my friends, but I'll see you tomorrow." As he like grabs his coffee and runs out the door, pulling present Mike and like grabbing his other friend. And from the outside, you can kind of hear it's like, I can't believe you guys did that. I was going to ask her out today. You know how nervous it is? And Mike just kind of nudges him and he's like, yeah, I figured I'd come in, man. Like, it looks like you're about to self-destruct. God. Though, and Mike looks back, she is kind of cute, though. Gotta hand it to you, Shota. So that being said, we cut to almost a year, like about 6 to 7 months later, and by this time, Inko and Aizawa have been dating for a couple months. And they have been talking, and Aizawa over the past couple months has really been improving on his multiple target fighting style. Because tonight it showed that he needs to be more aware of his surroundings, not necessarily what he can see, but what's around him more so. And so now so Inko and Aizawa have really gotten really close. And he asked Inko, and it's like, hypothetical question, Inko. And Inko kind of looks at him and blinking. He's like, sure, Shota. What's up? Say we were together. Would you still work, or would you want to stay home? And Inko's like, well, I've kind of thought about it. If I was married and my husband was working, and if we didn't have any kids, I would want to work too. But if we ended up having children, I'd probably most likely want to stay home more so and help raise the child, because. And she's like, well, in our instance, if we ended up getting together and we had a kid later on, not saying that, like, that's what I want, Shota, but hypothetically, right? And Shota, like, kind of gulps, like, yeah, hypothetically. Yeah, that's right, hypothetically. Back of his mind, he's like, oh crap, did I just ruin it? So Inko is, like, then proceeds to say, well, if, say, me and you got together, I wouldn't expect you to stop being a pro. So, in order for our baby to, like, be able to be raised properly, I would probably stay home most of the time and take care of the house while you were out doing hero work. And Inko just kind of realized what she said, and she blushes a little bit. And like, Aizawa leans in and kind of kisses her, and he's like, thank you. I've been wondering about things, and I have stuff to still think about, but thank you. It's great knowing where you would stand on this matter. It's like, I like you a lot, Inko, and I don't know what the future would hold, but I kind of would want to see where it goes with us, you know? And Inko looks at him and kisses him back, and he's like, me too, Shota, me too. So we cut to about 9 months later we cut to 4 months later, and Inko is freaking out. She's like, oh, no, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? What am I gonna tell him? How am I going to tell him this? He just started, like, his professional, like, hero, like, his career. Like, how am I going to do this? And she's like, okay, Inko, calm down. It's just, you gotta tell someone that they're going to be a father. And then she's like, that means I'm going to be a mother. As Inko's just looking down at a little stick that has a plus symbol on it. She's like, I'm going to be a mom. And Shota's going to be a dad. And she proceeds to sit in the living room, and she's just holding this box with a ribbon on it. And she's just sitting there staring at the box. And Shota comes home, and I would say at this point they had moved in together because they gotten real serious. I mean, serious to the point where Mike is kind of digging into him. He's like, "See, buddy, I told you it would work out." So now we cut to later that afternoon when Aizawa gets home, and he seems like tired and frustrated, and he goes like, "Sweetie, what's wrong?" And she grabs the box, and he's like, "It was just a rough day today." But he looks at Inko. "But since I'm home now, you want to go get something to eat? Maybe some drinks and some at a teriyaki grill and bar?" And Inko like looks down and is like, "Crap, I definitely can't hide it now." And she's like, "Well, sweetie, there's something I need to talk to you about." And Aizawa gets a little concerned, and she's like, "I've got something for you." And she hands him the box. And she said, "This is the reason why it probably wouldn't be a good idea for me to go drinking." And Shoto's, like Aizawa's a little, how do you say, concerned greatly about this. He slowly opens the box, and there's a letter. And it says, "My dear Shota, I've sat here all day thinking about how I'm going to tell you this. But I guess I should just come out and say it. You're going to be a father." And Aizawa looks in the box, and he sees a pregnancy test, and it says that it's pregnant. And he holds it up, and he looks at Inko. It's like, "Is this real?" And Inko says, "Yeah, I haven't been feeling too good the past couple of days, and I missed my time." And like Aizawa looks at Inko, and he's like, "So are we going to do this?" And Inko says, "Yeah." "So would you want to do this with me? Like Shota?" And Aizawa like looks at Inko and is like, "Inko, I do, but there are some things we need to talk about though." And then Aizawa goes into his explanation that he had actually planned, as he pulls a box out, that he was actually going to propose to her tonight. And he hands her the ring. It's like, "Inko Midoriya, will you marry me? The past year and a half have been amazing. You've opened my eyes to a lot of things. And I no longer see the negatives in a lot of things. Your personality and your support have helped me become a better hero. So, Midoriya Inko, will you marry me?" And Inko just looks down at Aizawa because he did get on his knees and everything. She says, "Yes, yes, 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 yes." As she uses her quirk to grab the ring, and then she puts it on her finger, and it's like, "No takebacks." And Aizawa kind of laughs, and he embraces his now fiance and the woman pregnant with his child. So we cut to the end of the pregnancy, and Izuku Aizawa Midoriya is born. Through the conversations, Aizawa said it would probably be best if Inko kept her last name. And then Inko says, "Well, I'm going to hyphenate it, but that would allow me to still sign things Midoriya Inko." And then Aizawa's like, "Yeah, and our son should have your last name, just to kind of help protect him, at least until you can, like, help himself, just in case something, like some of my enemies may want to, like, harm my family. So, Izuku is born, and he's a perfectly normal, healthy little boy. And Inko is sweating, and she's holding, like, baby Izuku, kind of like giving him his first feeding. And Aizawa walks in the room with like a plushie toy, and he kind of has like a busted lip. And Inko looks at him, and she's like, he looks at her, and he walks over, and he looks down at this small child, and Inko motions towards the baby, and Aizawa's like, I can hold him. And Inko lightly, like, gives Aizawa, like, little Izuku. And Aizawa's looking down at this child, and he has a busted lip, and he puts his hands out to, like, rub it, and Izuku grabs with his little hand Aizawa's pinky, and Aizawa in that moment thinks, it's like, I've got to protect him. This is my son, my little Izuku. And so, over the years, like, over the next couple of years, Mike has been, like, ragging on Aizawa. It's like, so you got a kid now, I guess. Guess our little bachelor's group is no longer a bachelor's group. It's just me, the bachelor, and my married brother. As he grabs Aizawa, like, kind of giving him a knuckle sandwich. And he's like, Mike, come on, cut it out. We're on patrol. Act like a hero for once. Jeez. And Mike just shoots the laugh. And I would say Izuku is 1. So we cut to when Deku's 2 years old. And he's playing with his toys and everything, and he begins to cry because he falls, and like one of the toys, like it gets accidentally thrown out of the play area, and Inko comes into a site where Izuku's crying, and he's like, toy, reaching out his hands and looking at the toy, and then Inko notices something weird happen. Like, the toy begins to float, and it starts moving towards Deku. And when it reaches Deku, you just hear a loud exclamation, "Yay, toy!" from, like, a little 2-year-old. And Inko's like, he has my quirk. My baby boy has my quirk. So that evening, when Aizawa gets home, Inko's like, dear, little Izuku's quirk came in today. And Aizawa's like, what do you mean? And she's like, well, it looks like to be my quirk. And Aizawa's like, are you sure? And she walks over to little Izuku, and she's like, baby, you remember what happened earlier? Do you think you can do what you did earlier when the toy was out of the play area? And little Izuku looks up. What, mommy? I just want toy. And she's like, how about this, baby? She grabs one of his favorite toys and puts it a couple of feet away. And he's like, no, toy, and begins to like move and kind of crawl. And Inko grabs and he's like, no, baby, like, bring it to you. Do what you did earlier. And Deku begins to cry a little bit, and he's like, I want a toy, reaching out towards it, and it begins to move, and it comes into, like, Deku's hands. Aizawa's standing there in shock, and he's like, he's only 2, yet his quirk manifested? This is crazy. Inko, I need to make a few calls. I'm gonna take a couple of days off, and we'll get it checked out to see if there's stuff that we need to take care of, because, like, my son, he has a quirk. His quirk came in, and he's 2. He's a young boy. oh my god, this is so dangerous. This is dangerous. Like, what if he has some kind of mutation that with his quirk and it causes like some problems? We need to get him checked out. And Inko just kind of gets up and with the Izuku in her hands and walks over to like Aizawa, kind of hyperventilating a little bit. Because all of this, like, Aizawa, he can run into a burning building against a 20-foot tall, hulking behemoth of a villain with no stress or worries whatsoever. But when it comes to raising this little child of his, he's that Aizawa. He full blown has that maternal instinct to like protect his child for like the best for his child, which this will play in role in the future. So, with that being said, I'm going to end this part here. Like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know down in the comment section what do you think about this part. If you want to see a part 0B to this, which will cover Izuku's earlier life up until the start of the anime, and how the next episode I'm going to do towards the end, there's a certain arc that will happen. Over Discord, people through discussion, it was decided that Izuku will get a younger sister when he's in his teens, an adopted sister. That being said, I've already said it. I will see you beautiful souls in the next video.